Hey guys, Keen Dog here. We're going to be talking about qualities of a strong man today, specifically discipline. And there's two types of discipline. The first one is discipline to do something, like you have to have discipline to work out. And the second is discipline like a father disciplining his child. And for both of them, the result is basically the same thing. So if you're struggling with wanting to do things like you need to go to the gym, you want to stop, watching porn or stop doing anything, and then you just want to do something else. You want to have a new healthy routine in your life, then stay watching this video. So I'd say this: if you're struggling with something in your life, and especially if you're a Christian, this is mainly geared towards people who have a relationship with God, then I would say that you need to be asking, first of all, what does God see in you that you aren't seeing in yourself? And whenever you start to realize and see what God sees in you that he's wanting you to change and is maybe not the best thing in your personality tool set, then you're going to see a lot of growth once you ask God to reveal those things to you. And then he shows you how to get better. And let me just talk to you about some simple things that I asked for him in prayer and God did for me to help me kind of grow me in these areas. So some of my qualifications, I would say, are I'm a life group leader, which is I'm a Bible study teacher at my church. And not only that, I'm on two different leadership teams, one for the youth group and one for the young adults group. And so I've been on those for about like 2 years now. And granted, yes, 2 years is not a very long time. I have mentors and pastoral mentors, and I have just general spiritual disciplines that I practice daily. And so I would say that I'm just coming from a place of experience rather than a place of expertise. And I want to help any guy who's kind of like struggling with their lack of spiritual disciplines, and overall just difficulty getting over that hump after being a Christian for so many years and not being in the Bible and praying consistently, and really having a serious relationship with God, or they're new to the faith and you have a problem just knowing where to start. And so whenever I got back into my relationship with God, these are the things that I did that really kickstarted and really helped get into a real serious relationship with God and to see real growth that God has been wanting in my life for a very long time. And I'm saying all this not just for the sake of self-improvement, but so that you can become the person, and specifically the man that God is wanting you to be, so you can do the most for him and be the most efficient for him while you're here. So I prayed this about every single night for the first year of really getting back into my relationship with God as a prayer. And it's Psalms 139:23-24. Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my concerns. See if there is any offensive way in me. Lead me in the everlasting way. So how is this beneficial? So think about this. If God knows everything, especially your feelings and your emotions and what makes you do the things that you do, don't you think that he would be able to show you where you're going wrong? And maybe you're on the other end where you're just too afraid to ask God. And what I can tell you for that person is don't be afraid that you can't stay where you are for very long and be sustainable in your life and be healthy and productive and happy, because if you have things wrong in your life, then you're not going to be happy. And what I found is most of my undoing and most of the problems that I had in my life were almost all related to my own sins that I was holding on to that I didn't really realize were sins, some character flaws that I had picked up from my past, whatever it may be, and that if God would search my heart, then he would be able to show me where I've been going wrong and what parts of my personality are not the healthiest. So one thing that I really struggled with was isolation and just putting myself in a place where I was very pessimistic and nihilistic in a lot of situations, and I just didn't want to go socialize with people. And God definitely helped me want to socialize and learning how to be socially, I don't want to say dominant just for the sake of dominance, but socially dominant. Maybe just socially healthy is the correct term I'm thinking of. So how does discipline play into asking God to search our hearts? So if you're asking God to look at you and show you what parts of you are not good, then you have to do some changing. And for that to happen, you need to be disciplined, like a father disciplines a child. And what I mean by this is whenever you do something wrong your parents corrected you as a kid or as a teenager or whatever, and they said, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. And sometimes they give you a reason why, some say they wouldn't. But in this case, you're asking God, hey, show me the things that I'm doing wrong. And then your response is to do them, right? Because that's the whole point of you asking. So let's look at Proverbs 10:17. The one who follows instruction is on the path to life, but the one who rejects correction goes astray. Let's also look at this. To learn, you must love discipline. It is stupid to hate correction. And that's Proverbs 12:1. I mean, how bold is that, and how straightforward is that, straight from the Bible, just saying if you don't like correction and discipline, you're stupid. The only way you can grow and learn is to be corrected and to be disciplined. So if you're having a hard time wanting to be the person, man, you want to be, and you just can't seem to change, or you just feel like, oh, I'm just this way, then know that you're not listening to correction, you're not listening to discipline, and maybe on top of this, you need to start asking for discernment on yourself and your scenario and your situation, your personality, whatever it may be that God sees in you. And maybe he's doing things in your life and trying to show you things by events and things happening to you, whether it be through your own actions, consequences of those, or something else, like just things happening indirectly somewhat due to you being the way that you are, the toxic parts and the negative parts. And while we're kind of on the subject, one thing I just really want to say is do not be complacent with the self that you are now that is, first of all, mostly disobedient to God and isn't a good friend, isn't a good brother, sister, husband, whatever it may be. If you are having a hard time and you're struggling because people don't genuinely like you, that you don't get along with people, that you're just these traits and you think that that's just who I am, let me tell you from my own experience, that's not true. That's a lie that you've been fed, that you are all of these things. And if you don't really like something about yourself and you know that there's something that is not good about you, and that if you want to change something about yourself, and if you want to go from a negative and toxic personality trait or just personality in general to a healthy and God-honoring person, then you can do that and you should do that. And if you were trying to honor God with your personality and by who you are, then don't you think that he would help you along the way? He did for me. And that's kind of why I'm making this video, is I see a lot of people who get stuck in this mindset of this is just who I am. And in reality, that's not who God created you to be. Your identity is being found in the sins and being found in the different problems that you've had throughout your life and that you are in turn making for yourself by continuing in these habits. So seek discipline. And if you've heard of the Corinthian church and heard of 1st and 2nd Corinthians, I'm going to read a passage. I'm going to give you some context. So the Corinthian church are kind of like us now in how they were very much into sexual immorality. They were just being mean to each other all the time. They were creating factions, and they were just generally disobedient, kind of unruly people. They just let themselves go by their desires and please themselves no matter what. It didn't really matter. And our culture is definitely in that sphere. So they were having a hard time doing all these things and being genuine and being honorable to God and just following their passions, lusts, whatever it may be. And there was not only people dying in this church, but they were also getting sick, and they were just bad things were happening to them. And Paul addresses this in 1 Corinthians 11, and he says, "This is why many are sick and ill among you, and many have fallen asleep. If we were properly judging ourselves, we would not be judged. But when we are judged by the Lord, we are disciplined, so that we may not be condemned with the world." In this case, he's talking about them coming together for the Lord's Supper in a dishonorable way, but this definitely goes into the fact of just they're completely disobedient. I'm actually going to be teaching on this subject on Monday, and I think I'm going to live stream it, and I might live stream it on Twitch. So if you're interested in that, go ahead, and I will leave the link to my Twitch in the bio, and make sure you come around like 6:37 Central Time for that. Peace out, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned a little bit. Hope I put a little bit of fire under your butt to seek godly correction and discipline so you can grow and learn to be a better man for God. Have a good one. Hopefully see you in the live stream. Peace.